for three.
Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. It's our Thursday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio, coming to you here on KDSJ 479 from 1 to 2 p.m. each and every day. And we're going to continue on. We like what we did yesterday, and we got a lot of interaction from our viewers and listeners. We had a couple calls that we really felt good about it. And so we thought, Demetrius and I talked, and we're going to do more of that today. We're going to open up the phone lines for a 30-minute show as we have a sponsorship meeting that we have to be at. And if you'd like to sponsor us here on the Hill, you can do so by emailing us at On the Hill Sports Talk. That's On the Hill, patj@gmail.com. You can reach us there. And also, too, where's another email address, Demetrius, they can reach us at if they're interested in sponsorship?
Yes, that first email was On the Hill, patj@gmail.com, and you can also reach us at saucedupentertainment@gmail.com if you're interested in any sponsorship or advertising through On the Hill Sports Talk.
And that's how you can get in. And like I said, today's your day. We talked yesterday, took phone calls. That number to get in here on today's 30-minute show will be 479-601-7400. That'll get you into today's show. Any topics that you might want to talk about, throw them out there at us. I know there's one note that I made yesterday, Demetrius, and we talked about the impact players. Eric Thomas is a young man out of the Florida area, Booker T. Washington High School, linebacker, 6'3", 230 pound, oversight. And I have to admit it, this is a guy that when I went back and watched film last night, makes a lot of plays with reckless abandon. And I feel like after watching what I watch and really going over the depth chart at linebacker, this could be a young man that you might see on the field this year in a very prominent role as a true freshman.
Yeah, I think that that entire linebacker roster is kind of open. I do think Bumper Pool is one of the guys that they're looking at to, be a potential starter, but that doesn't guarantee a spot with, Barry Odom coming in and looking for whoever's going to win some games for him at that linebacker position.
Right. There's just so many question marks. Kendall Browse. I mean, how do you think Kendall feels having the offense that he has? I think he's going to be I think that offense has a chance to be really exciting. I think when you look at his skill position players, Knox, Burks, Jackson, and then you look at the backfield, Woods, another wide receiver prospect. There's a long list of wide receivers: Darian Turner, Shabar Nash,
Tyson
Morris, who I thought, this is a young man that's just, got it out of the mud and really, earned everything that he's been able to accomplish in his career at Arkansas. Then you go back to the backfield. We talk about that all the time. Raheem Boyd, T.J. Hammonds, Amante Spivey, Traylon Smith, Dominique Johnson, the true freshman running back coming in. I think that's going to be a plus. Not really worried about the quarterbacks.
No, talk about that
at all.
Talk about that defensive back that's going to be transferring from H-State. I don't really know a whole lot about him, but could you mention a little bit about him?
Jerry Jacobs is a guy by way of the state of Georgia. Had a long relationship, had known and been recruited by Coach Sam Pittman while at Georgia. Didn't get a lot of heavy interest, by Kirby Smart. They ended up going to Arkansas State. Sam gets the job here and reconnects. And also, too, I think Jacobs had a past relationship with Jimmy Smith and Scott Fountain. And I think when you do all those things, a young man graduates, looks to get a fresh start. I did watch Jacobs this year when Arkansas State went down to Georgia. Ironically, that was the game he got hurt in. He's an SEC player. Guarded the toughest wide receiver there for the Bulldogs, step for step. Didn't get a lot of completed passes, and like I said, was hurt in that game. Unfortunately, wasn't able to finish that game out. But, Arkansas is going to get still another mature football player that's played high quality football and been in a winning program. I think that's the one thing when you look at Draper and you look at Franks and you look at Jacobs. And also, you look at Kelly. These 4 of the 5 grad transfers that you're bringing in, these guys have played on the big stage in very big moments with their teams, and I think that experience is going to help this young program, which has hadn't done that very much.
Yeah, so I even look at him and Buster, being the 2 corners that can potentially start, and then guys like Miles Slusher that we mentioned that could potentially get on the field. I really, that was one of the positions that I said, I really had question marks about him. But on paper, the more I start to do research in what we have, I'm feeling pretty confident that we can do a decent job at the defensive back.
I think that's going to, like I said, the question marks: defensive back, linebacker, tight end, are really the 3 positions on this year's football team for 2020, the Razorback version, that I'm really going to be honing in on, Demetrius. I really think it's going to be important, very important, that you find a linebacker that can play in that middle and play with a nastiness, that of Scooter Harris or Dre Greenlaw. Lose those 2 guys in consecutive years, you've lost a lot. You're talking about probably 25, 30 tackles when you combine those 2 guys when they were on the field together. You're not going to have that. You don't have those playmakers. And really, who's going to be the leader of the defense? That, to me, is the biggest question. Will it be Buster? Could it be
I think it's going to be Joe Fouché if I had to think of a guy that I
feel.
Joe
Fouché, John Marshall.
I think it's going to be Joe Fouché. When I look at what he's done, as far as production and just the type of player that I know him to be and the type of person, I think he's a guy that's ready to step up for that role. He may not, and I'm not saying this in a negative way, he may not have the production that other players are going to have around him, but as far as guys looking at him and respecting him and the amount of work that he puts in on and off the field, I think he's a guy that a lot of guys trust.
We're about to pull up a clip of Barry Odom, a sit-down we had with Barry several months ago, and let you hear kind of his defensive philosophy that he's going to bring to Arkansas. I'm really excited about the philosophy and the scheme that he's going to be bringing, because I know I have a feeling it's going to be very attacking. Ironically, the 2 years that Missouri was able to represent the SEC East and the SEC championship game in Atlanta, Barry Odom was the defensive coordinator, and having a defense coordinator that played linebacker and was very good at doing it, was an all-conference player himself. I had the privilege of watching Barry play at that position, and Barry played with a nastiness and with a passion. And if he can instill that in his young men, as you have known him during his time as DC at Memphis, Missouri, they've always been very sound, very physical, and very, very disciplined. And I think that's what's going to be the biggest key. I didn't think there was enough discipline defensively over the last couple of years here in this program. And, you're getting a head coach that, has really stressed discipline, and now when he can come over to one side of the ball and really, really hone in on that, not have to worry about so much, Demetrius, there's no telling what Coach Odom can put on the football field, because there is talent. There's definite talent on this football team. But we're going to take a real quick break. Like we said, if you want to get in today, you can call us any topic. You can reach us here at 479-601-7400. It'll get you in and give us a call. We're ready to talk to you. It's your show today. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Back in a bit.
Great to see you, man. I'm glad to be here.
Talk about the transition. Barry, you guys, instantly you come to campus roughly about 2 days after Coach Pippen gets the job. You have a hosting weekend, have to get out and recruit. 3 commits. Not a lot of time to put together what you guys were able to put together, but did an amazing job. Talk about, how stressful that was, or, what was that process like?
Well, really, when I got the phone call and got the job offered to me and said yes, my wife and 3 kids, we jumped in the car and drove to campus. That was on a Friday because I knew there was an official visit weekend. I wanted to get around those guys, and I wanted to get around Coach Pittman. So from that moment until sitting here today, I feel like it's kind of been on fast forward. Just you're going and getting adjusted and trying to start to build relationships with your team. That's the most important thing. And now that we can't be on the road in February, that's going to be such a huge part of what we're trying to get done. But also this staff working together and the direct approach that Coach Pittman gave us, and the way that he charged us with going out and let's hit these numbers and these spots. He did a great job from starting on whatever weekend that was to finishing yesterday. I would feel pretty strongly saying if you just looked at recruiting rankings, I don't know anybody that's ever started at 118 and finished 29 in basically a month's time. Coach Pittman needs a lot of credit for that, on how he assembled the staff and then how, with a direct approach, he went and got it done.
Talk about your defensive philosophy. What will that be like here at Arkansas? Will it be aggressive style, or how does Barry?
The thing that I want to really take a hard look at is what we currently have on our roster, and then the coaches that have success over long periods of time, they're able to adjust to the personnel that they have. I could go draw up a blitz from the field and the boundary and all that, but if our kids can't do it, it's of no value. We've got to be great teachers, but we also have to give them a skill set, a tool belt on what they can go do, put them in position to use the skills that they've got where they can go play fast and they can play confident, they can play free, but doing it within the structure of how we're going to play. But if you look at toughness and grit, playing together and playing hard and doing it for 4 quarters and finding ways to get off the field, either turnovers or takeaways, third down percentage, all those things go into core beliefs and values and foundational approach on building the defense. But man, if you can get the guys.
Welcome back to the Thursday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio here on KDSJ 479. And our producer, Demetrius, we want to read off a question from one of our viewers because, the guy has always great points. And could you read that, and we'll definitely try to answer it to the best of our ability.
Yeah, we had a comment from Mr. Terry Roy. He called in yesterday from Baymont. But his his statement is, the new DC will have to identify who can step up from last year's team and find out if last year was a fluke or is that really who they were. What do you feel about that, Pat?
I think it was a defense that had no direction. Unfortunately, I respect John Chavis off the football field, but from the defense coordinator spot, I felt like maybe his scheme was a little outdated. Coaches had a beat on it, and as a result, just chunks of yardage each and every week in, week out. I never thought there was a lack of talent. I thought there was a lack of putting talent in the right position to be successful, so to speak. And so I think with Barry coming in and being able to re-energize these kids, I think you're going to see a different type of football player. I thought Chad's staff kind of got in that rut where guys were playing because that's what they were used to the year before. Saw a lot of younger kids that should play. Andrew Parker comes to mind at the linebacker spot. You have to find when you beat Texas, LSU for a guy, you find a spot for him on the football field. The kid's a redshirt junior, and he's one of the bigger linebackers. I always felt like he should have played. And I thought when that happened, the morale of the defense kind of, started to deteriorate. And by the middle of the year, after that Kentucky game, Demetrius, we knew, just didn't seem like the same football team when they left Lexington to come home.
Yeah, to me, it was really due to a lack of speed. I think you did make a great point about guys not being put in the right position, but I just think we were just out. Guys were just purely faster than us. I can go back to was it the San Jose game? Where guys you just didn't know what was going on the defensive side. They looked like they were running the ball.
You know what? Didn't Chad always say you either got speed or you chasing speed? Arkansas was chasing a lot of speed.
Chasing it. And so, I won't say it's a fluke, but I think you're still going to see a lack of speed on our defensive side of the ball. But I think that's something that Sam Pittman has really came out and stated that that's something that we still have to do. You know, he said that in the press conference. He said there's two things we can do. We can either be bigger than everybody, or we can be faster. Because he was talking about that with T.J. Hammonds and why he gave him the scholarship. And of course, it was that he earned it, but it was the speed. You can't coach that speed, and that's definitely something you have to have in the SEC.
See, you made a position reference of moving Buster back to free safety, where ironically he was an All-American, U.S. Army All-American, free safety out of Ashdown High School. I think if you move Buster back there, that could really give you some stability. But I've also said Miles Mason. You know, I said it earlier in the week. I think he's going to be one of the more improved players on the football team, especially on the defensive side of the football. Don't know who the defensive MVP will be this year. Still hadn't decided. I think John Marshall, the senior D tackle, is ready to have kind of an Armand Watts breakout year. Now, I don't mean that by how he came through, because John's played a lot of football, but what I mean by just that senior year, getting it all coming together, and then football being in slow motion, and him going out and being able to make a lot of plays, because he was able to do that last year and in years past, but I think he's going to be called up on more. He and I think Xavier Kelly, I'll call them the captains of the defense, just based on maturity this year. They'll go. That defense will go as that front goes, in my opinion.
Yeah, and we can't leave out Dorian Jerry. You know, that's a guy that's definitely guys look up to and respect, especially the younger guys. And I think he has a lot of experience off the field that he can teach these guys. You know, I think for a guy to sit out an entire year and still find a way to cheer on his team and be supportive, and then get back out there and fight his way into a fighting position, the potential to be on the field in that 1 or 2 spot. I think he has a lot of experience, so I think he can really coach these younger guys up and be that mentor voice, that guy that has been through that. So
Malik Hornsby, the true freshman quarterback out of Fort Bend High School. If you're Kendall Browse, is he number 2? I mean, how this is going to shake up? Because you have Franks, Jefferson, Hornsby, Lindsey, and Jones. We can say pretty fairly that it's going to be Felipe Franks. I think based on maturity, we can go ahead and pencil him as the starting quarterback. But after that, who's number 2? I think it's going to be a hotly contested battle between Malik and KJ. I think whoever wins that number 2 spot, if you're Kendall Browse, you feel really good. And if you're that entire offensive staff, you feel really good, because this is something that's going to be earned. That number 2 spot, Demetrius, is not just going to be handed. It's going to have to be earned because of the talent level that's in that room.
I gotta mention 2 things because Mr. Roy just said one more good comment. He said,
always shoot good.
He said, don't forget Jalen Catalan being a leader on that defensive.
Jalen Catalan,
and,
yes.
And that's a good one.
And that free safety, it could be a very improved. You forget about the talent, because, like you said, we just mentioned there was players that didn't get a chance to play that probably could have helped them and prevented another 2-10 season, because I know Jalen, coming out of high school, before he got hurt his senior year, Jalen was a baller.
Absolutely. But going back to the quarterback battle, I think it boils down to whoever's going to be in the playbook the most. I think when you look at Malik Hornsby and you look at KJ, they have a lot of similarities. KJ, I think the upper hand I think he does have in this situation is he's more physically gifted as far as his body being ready to play in the SEC.
Right.
But I think they give you a lot of similar things. I think Hornsby has the edge on speed. If you're just looking at elusiveness inside the pocket and having the ability to extend the play.
Right.
And I'm not saying that KJ can't do that. I just think KJ has a little bit more elusiveness in his ability to do that. But again, they're very similar, so I think it's just going to boil down to who's in the playbook the most and can understand it, because I think Felipe, as a transfer graduate and kind of leader of your team, regardless if you like it or not, he's going to come in and be the face of that program at that quarterback position. Like I said, I think at least through the Notre Dame game. I think that's going to decide, hey, do we run with this guy? We're 4 games in. Hey, we have a shot to make a bowl game. Let's ride with Felipe, and we can put these other guys, we can get them in the game, keep preparing for the future.
Right.
But I think it's going to, the first 4 games are really good, what's going to determine that quarterback position.
See, and that's a good thing that we're sitting here talking about, because last year we all know the quarterback situation, and really for the better part of the last 2 years has been a big question mark. No real definitive starter, no real plan. And so I think, having Felipe as your starting quarterback, and then, if you're Sam Pittman, Kendall Browse, and that staff, you can sit down and really take practice as a trial and error. with Malik and KJ. Not to mention, we're not going to rule out Jack Lindsey and John Stephen Jones. I mean, those are two capable quarterbacks that's been here on campus. But when we talk about guys that are going to be the face of that offensive team, it's going to have to be, if it's not Frank, it's got to be Jefferson or Malik Hornsby. And I don't know who I could go with right now. I think Malik Hornsby, as you said, Demetrius, the speed. KJ possesses the size. I think as far as throwing motion, maybe I think Malik may have a slight edge in the passing game, but not by much. They both come from winning programs, and they're both going to be coached by a great quarterbacks coach and offensive coordinator there in Kendall Briles. I think when you really break it down, I think with Kendall's familiarity more so with Malik Hornsby, if Malik can come in here and grasp it, would not shock me if he got that number 2 spot. But it's not going to come without a fight, because KJ Jefferson, I really feel, Demetrius, Arkansas going forward with Hornsby and Jefferson as your 1 and 1A, the future's going to be very bright at that position.
Yeah, I think it's a great situation to have. We came a long way from the Allen brothers, and it's no disrespect to those guys, but when you look at that quarterback position, we really haven't had stability at that position since both Allen brothers left the program, and I think now you're starting to see that stability within the quarterback position, and I think it's great that we have 4-star guys coming in here because I remember a time we had no star guys. We couldn't even think of who's going to come out and be the quarterback for our football team. So I think Sam Pittman is going to do what needs to be done. I think he's going to give Kendall Briles the reign to say, hey, this is who we need to go with. And he's going to ride with it, but as well, he's going to look for the things off the field. I think that's going to be another determining factor out of that 2 spot out of Malik Hornsby and KJ is how they approach the school, because we all know, Sam Pittman doesn't play about the schoolwork. He expects you to handle your business in the classroom as well. So.
Well, I mean, he always shoot it right, but we're going to take a real quick break, and we're going to come back with our last segment and give you a chance to call. Now, I don't want to give you the phone number. If you want to call with any topics, anything, you can reach us at 479-601-7400. That'll get you in here to the last segment of today, as we have sponsorship meetings that we have to get to. And if you'd like to sponsor On the Hill Sports Talk, you can do so by emailing us. Our email address is onthehillpatj@gmail.com, or as my producer and co-host Demigod Demetrius said, you can also hit us up on Sauced Up Radio. That's Sauced Up Entertainment, and just let us know you'd like to be a part of it, because we definitely like to have you. Love talking sports, but let's get the break, and we'll come back with our last segment. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. Let's get it.
Did not plan on taking that many, but what became apparent was when we looked at best available guys after that early signing period, was that there were some linebackers out there that were good and could help us and improve our team as a whole. And so even though we might not have originally planned as going quite as heavy as we did, it was pretty easy to warm up to that idea when we saw the quality of players that we had a chance to get. And we had we wanted to improve kind of the framework, body type wise, of the guys in our room, and we were able to accomplish that. We definitely always place a premium on fast and physical guys, and so we found some really good body types. There's some guys in there that will grow and develop from a strength and physically from that standpoint during their time here, but you can't coach 6'3", you can't coach 6'4", and you can't coach great wingspan and tackle radius, and those are things that we wanted to recruit, and so we were fortunate enough to do that. But that group of guys, I love their makeup in terms of character, the type of people they are. They come from great families, and I really think we got some really, really good football players that are really, really good people in that room. So Jerry Jerry played for us at Hutch. He redshirted a year and played a year.
Welcome back to our Thursday edition of On the Hill with Pat Jenkins Sports Talk Radio here on KDSJ, and I would be remiss not to mention our sponsors as they make this possible. That being said, Lindsay and Associates with an office location in Fayetteville, an office location also too in Rogers. That's Locomotion. It's located just below the Northwest Arkansas Mall. Corey Beck's Custom Painting, and the one I always talk about, KDK's Chicken. They're at 989 South Razorback Road. Go see Keith, Kathy. Get some of that love, and like it says on the building, not your mama's. I added this. Best chicken and waffles in the South. Meet us there or beat us there. That's KDK's Chicken at 989 South Razorback Road. Make a note, they will not be opening until 2 o'clock today, so here momentarily. If you're hungry, get your keys, get in your car, and by the time you get down there at 989, they'll be ready to cook some really, really good love for you. But we let you hear audio from linebacker coach Ryan Rhodes, formerly head coach at Hutchinson Junior College. And we keep talking about that, Demetrius, more head coaches. But also, too, the SEC came out, for those, we had it on yesterday, the SEC came out with its new SEC podcast rankings of the top coordinators offensively and defensive tandems in the SEC, 1 through 14. In Arkansas, and Sam Pittman came out with the second-rated tandem. That's right. Coach Browse was a 6th-rated offensive coordinator, and Coach Odom, the 4th-rated defensive coordinator, which combined together made them the number 2 group. Demetrius, shocked? Yay, nay, too high, too low? Where are you at with this ranking for Arkansas, Coach Browse and Coach Odom? And they hadn't even coached a game or had a spring practice yet.
No, I think it's great. I made mention of it yesterday that we were one of the top schools in the top 5 that didn't have a head coach in one of those offensive or defensive coordinator positions.
Right.
And, I think it's great. I said how it just gives Sam Pittman the room to really learn how to be a head coach his first year, as well as be a manager instead of a coach. He can really build a relationship with his players. He can really focus on the continuity of the team instead of the X's and O's. He can give those duties to his coaches and just be that coach that really kind of just oversees and manages versus, hey, I'm hands on with everything and every move that goes on. I have guys that I know can do the great job and are experts. As this list shows, the number 1 and number 2 defensive coordinator.
And you just have to allow great coaches allow their coaching staff and coaches to coach. And I think that's what Sam will do. He's empowered and put a lot of trust in the staff that he was able to hire. These guys are getting paid the big bucks. But Sam believed in them enough that they could come here to Fayetteville and help, with his vision of winning the SEC, going on to possibly compete for national championships. And I think that's what he's starting to really get accomplished here. You can just tell just the feel around the complex and out and about town is just a little different from when Chad Morris was here. And I think all that goes to just being said, and let's be blatantly honest. Coach Pittman gets it. He knows how to recruit the SEC. He knows how to deal with SEC parents, SEC high school coaches across the country. He understands the level that you have to recruit in the SEC. And I didn't think that the staff, Bielema, nor as a whole, I want to say, because there were certain coaches on both staffs that could really go out and recruit with the best of them. But as a whole, they just didn't understand the landscape, Demetrius. And Coach Pittman said it best. You got to recruit on steroids. And that's every sense of the word. Not go out and find people on steroids, but you have to recruit at a level that you've never recruited at. And I think that's what Pittman and his staff will be able to do. But that's going to wrap up our show today. We'll be back tomorrow with our full hour. Got a couple more Hall Guys segments. We got some people coming on. I think you want to hear some linemen, some more linemen. Also, before we get out here, want to make a note. Major League Draft last night. Your Heston Kerstead, Arkansas Razorback Junior outfielder, went number 2 in the Major League Draft last night to the Baltimore Orioles. Want to give a congratulations to Heston. All is deserved. Would have loved to see it another year, but you kind of understand why. Coach Van Horn and that program down there in Omaha, glad it sure is rolling and at a very high level. And don't see it stopping anytime soon, I don't think. But that's going to wrap it up. Also, too, tonight there will be a commitment. Arkansas prospect Lucas Coley will be making his college decision tonight. We'll find out where he goes. If he does pick Arkansas, there could be a possibility we could have a LC sighting on tomorrow's show. All that's still up in there. We'll find out more, but that'll do it for myself, for my producer, and to you all. See you tomorrow. It's On the Hill with Pat Jenkins on KDSJ 479. You know what I say. Let's get it.
Team God.